Hello everybody and welcome to Wolftrap's Artists in the Making. This is the Michelangelo project for October 2019. I'm going to start off by sharing the book. It is a really nice little book with lots of really good facts that I think kindergarten through 6th grade could all benefit from hearing. It's a book that you could read while kids are working on their project, or read aloud and show the pictures at the end of the project when everybody's completed. Supplies for this month is a pencil, a black felt tip marker or Sharpie, graph paper. We're going to reuse and use up some old paper that's been lingering in the old supplies. There's a lot of sketch pads. We're going to actually tear out pages from the sketch pads. It's good quality sketch paper, and it's perfect for this much project. You can either have the students tear the little torn bits off, or you can keep it clean. To start the project off, make sure you have everybody write their name on the back of the paper. So that's the non-graph side of the graph paper. Have the students start by drawing a line on the bottom of the paper and then 16 graph lines up again. So you're going to have 16 spaces between the two lines. This is going to be both the top of the head and the bottom of the feet. We are teaching the children how to draw a realistic-ish looking picture of a human. Your next step is going to be to divide the two lines in half, so it's 8 spaces in the on each side of the middle line. That middle line will represent the hips, and then you're going to divide each section in half, and then each section in half again. So you have the lines broken up into eighths. There should be 2 spaces between each line. You're going to start off by drawing the head. When you're teaching the kids, remind them, we're not going to do this in red pencil. I'm doing this in red pencil so you can see it a little bit better. When you're drawing this, remind the kids that the human body is nothing but a bunch of simple shapes. The human head is an oval. The neck is either 2 lines or an open rectangle. The hips, everybody has hips, or you have a bum whether you like it or not. The body looks funny if you don't draw in this circle here. You have hips, and that is an oval, and then you have kneecaps, which are little circles. You have the bottom of your feet, which can be done real nicely with a half circle on that bottom line. You're going to connect the hips with 2 long ovals to the kneecaps, and then two long ovals to the feet. So the legs are made up of 2 separate parts connected by knees, and they are nothing but long ovals. Sometimes it helps to show the kids that you draw in kind of that buttocks, groin region. For the upper body, it is a hexagon, and since it's the month of October, it might be best to explain it. It's almost coffin shape. It slants down for the shoulders, it goes straight under the armpits, and then it cuts back into the hips. So I always describe the chest as the like almost coffin shaped. And I've labeled here what each of the lines represent. If you hit these spots, you're going to be kind of proportionally correct. I am not proportional. The belly button is way too high on my figure, and that's okay. This is again just an example of how to draw it and learn kind of proportions of the body. While I have the belly button too high on my body, it is still a pretty good representation of a human body. Once I lay in the basic shapes, I can go back over the body and sketch in and make things look a little bit more realistic and soften some of my lines, or widen or narrow where I need to. Keep reminding the kids there's no need to use their eraser in today's project, that this is all about the sketchy lines are half of what makes this project look so good. We don't want them erasing, we want them to see where they've drawn before, and it's going to help them in the long run. And there you go, this is the first part of our 2-part project. The first part is the sketch or practice sheet. Then we move on to the sketch paper where we're going to do the final project. You can have the kids, especially the younger classes, trace their grid lines from the practice sheet onto the sketch paper. For kids who've got a little bit more confidence or older grades, you can have them sketch it out on their own. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit, and I apologize. The focus didn't capture quite right away, but you're going to be able to see what we're doing. We start off with the oval that is the head and the lines that make up the neck. Then we skip down, throw in the oval of the hips. It's one of the reasons I'm having you do the hips so soon and leave the chest out is it helps keep the body proportional and in line. You draw the kneecaps over the edges of the hips, the feet over the kneecaps, and everything stands kind of proportionally. And it helps clarify, just for those who've never done this before, it makes it a little bit simple. You're really doing the exact same procedure that you did on the first one onto the main project. You're going to just draw in those basic shapes. Here you see me put in the shoulders. And I recognize right now that the shoulders are too low. So I'm going to actually, before I drop my arms in, kind of correct and finish the shoulders and make them less, they're a little too sloped. I put the elbows in, I put the hands in, and then I connect the arms with those half ovals, or not half ovals, long ovals like I did in the practice sheet. By raising the shoulders up a little bit, you'll notice the arms seem a little bit more proportional. The kids are not going to believe you when you tell them their fingers go to their mid-thighs, but that's where the fingers go. Everybody wants to put their fingers at their hips, and by extending it all the way to the mid-thighs, you're going to have a significantly more proportional body. Encourage the kids to draw clothes onto their human body because it will look nicer and more appropriate. Here I'm adding short and a t-shirt to my guy. And you can explain that by having the shorts a little bit wider than the legs, it's going to look like fabric. Again, I'm keeping my sketchy lines. I've noticed that my feet are a little small and I'm making them a little bit bigger. I noticed that my kneecaps are a little too small and I extend them, and you notice I'm not erasing any of my lines. Those what we're referring to as sketchy lines are half what would make this project look so fun. Once I feel like I have a good definition of my body, I'm going to take my permanent marker and trace over the best lines of my project. So while I leave the kneecaps in, I don't draw the kneecaps. I'm able to capture them without having them. And I just keep taking my permanent marker and drawing the best of all the sketchy lines that make up my figure. You're going to notice that here on this one arm, I have the elbows too narrow, and I recognize it. And I'm able to, even with my permanent marker, go back in and fix it and embrace the extra lines as opposed to feeling like I've ruined my project. I'm able to correct and still have a project I'm really proud of. I'm going to zoom back out now, and we're going to finish up the project by pouring out some tempera paint. I would recommend that everybody have a paint station in one place of the room as opposed to putting paint out onto every table. Have a paint station, and you can have 2 or 3 colors in each of the palette trays. You've got the students are going to have a little sponge, and they're going to just dab on the paint. And they're going to literally mat or encompass their figure so that he becomes the highlight, he or she become the highlight of the art. By surrounding the picture by the art, you're actually going to send the eyes into the piece of art and make it look like a nice finished piece. The other thing I encourage you to tell your students to do is make sure they sign their art. A piece of art isn't finished until they have their signature on it, and whether they like it or not, they should be brave enough to sign it. There you go. That is today's project from Michelangelo October 2019. If you have any questions, feel free to email the Wolftrap's AIM committee team, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you.